It's 6 a.m. on a Saturday. That sacred quiet hour you've been looking forward to all week. You're deep in that perfect just before waking up sleep, and then a poke. Tiny fingers right on the cheek.
Oh no!
A 6-year-old's voice, bizarrely serious. Daddy, I want Labubu. I opened my eyes and her iPad was an inch from my face, glowing with the picture of this thing.
Labubu, right?
A little goblin elf creature with huge staring eyes. My daughter wasn't asking. She was informing me of a new mission.
A mission. That's about right.
And in that moment, half conscious and already defeated, I realized something. Parenting today isn't just about naps and skinned knees. It's about navigating this weird high-speed pop culture supply chain. It's about your entire weekend being held hostage by a $15 collectible toy in a mystery box. And this was a new kind of chaos.
A very specific modern chaos.
Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we are tumbling down the rabbit hole created by that very chaos, the incredible global phenomenon of Pop Mart and its marquee character, Labubu. This isn't just a fleeting toy trend, nor is it merely a fashion accessory. It's a multi-billion-dollar cultural and psychological engine impacting everything from personal budgets and family dynamics.
All the way up to international regulatory policy. It's huge.
So what's our mission today?
Our mission today is crucial. We need to look beyond the cute aesthetic and really dissect the mechanics. We're analyzing a whole new form of emotional consumerism.
Emotional consumerism.
Yeah. Pop Mart has successfully integrated sophisticated behavioral economics with strategic, hyper-targeted marketing and intense digital social pressure to transform a simple blind box collectible into a massive global business.
So it's the blend, the psychology, the marketing.
Exactly. It's a fascinating, deep look at modern human desire and how it's, monetized.
All right, let's begin with the subject of that early morning wake-up call. Labubu itself. For anyone unfamiliar, this character is instantly memorable. It's categorized as ugly cute.
Right, the Kimo Kawaii thing.
Exactly. An elf-like creature with these mischievous large eyes, expressive limbs, and sharp, slightly scary teeth.
Yeah, they're not just sweet.
The design comes from the Hong Kong-Belgian artist Kaising Lung, who introduced Labubu back in 2015 as part of the Monsters series, drawing inspiration from Nordic folklore.
And that ugly cute aesthetic is absolutely central to its cultural success, particularly among Gen Z and millennials. That's really their core consumer base.
Why that specific demographic?
Well, it moves beyond the traditional, almost saccharine cuteness we associate with other major toy brands. Labubu offers cuteness, yes, but it's tempered with an edginess, a bit of rebellion, and individuality.
It stands out.
It doesn't look like every other character on the shelf. So yeah, it becomes a statement piece. It speaks to a generation that values authenticity and personalization.
Right, not just passively consuming, but expressing something.
Exactly. It taps directly into a need for escapism and fantasy, a way to integrate a bit of that playful, sometimes dark fantasy world into an otherwise mundane adult reality.
So these aren't just toys sitting on a shelf.
Yeah. Not at all. They function more like emotional companions, symbols of personal expression, and often they're highly coveted lifestyle accessories that signal belonging to a particular cultural subset.
And that potent blend of cultural resonance, well, it's translated into absolute astronomical commercial success. Pop Mart has gone way beyond just some niche collector thing.
Oh, definitely. The numbers really underscore the scale of this phenomenon. I mean, the entire Chinese collectible toy market is exploding. Projections show it surpassing, $15.3 billion by 2026?
15 billion. That's incredible.
Yeah, RMB, 110 billion. And it's maintaining this aggressive annual growth rate of about 20%. It's huge.
But Pop Mart isn't just riding that wave, are they?
No, they're defining it. Their valuation recently hit a staggering $40 billion.
$40 billion.
Right.
For context, how does that compare?
Well, to give you some perspective, this valuation has at times put them ahead of established generational toy giants like Hasbro and Mattel, companies with legacies spanning decades.
Wow. How do they manage that?
Primarily through their focus on high-margin designer IP licensing and their innovative lean distribution structure. Their annual sales have climbed dramatically, reaching around $1.8 billion.
And what's remarkable, really remarkable, is how much of that success is concentrated in this single ugly cute elf, Labubu.
The focus on Labubu in the Monsters series shows extreme brand loyalty and power. I mean, that series drove a mind-boggling 700% annual growth in 2024.
700%.
Yeah, and Labubu specifically contributed approximately $418 million to Pop Mart's revenue that year. That's nearly 23% of the company's total sales.
Almost a quarter of their business from one character line.
From a character that's, only 9 years old, it's a phenomenal concentration of revenue.
It's a massive star presence, clearly. And that star power is being aggressively pushed globally now, right?
Yeah.
It's not just an East Asian thing anymore.
Not at all. In the first quarter of 2025 alone, their overseas sales surged by 475% in one quarter. Yeah, they're fully internationalizing. They're making the US and Europe major new engines for growth, and that requires a pretty robust distribution plan.
So how are they getting these things everywhere?
Well, their omnichannel footprint is a masterclass in modern retail. They operate around 200 high-visibility physical stores worldwide, sure, but their real innovation lies in market penetration through technology.
Yeah.
Over 2,500 automated vending machine-like units they call robo-shops.
Ah, the robo-shops. I've seen those. They seem to be everywhere. Malls, transit hubs, airports.
Precisely. They are a brilliant low-cost distribution method. They allow Pop Mart to test new foreign markets cheaply, maintain a 247 presence without the overhead of staff or large leases.
And constant visibility.
Exactly. Keeps the brand highly visible, constantly driving impulse purchases and keeping the brand novelty fresh, even in unexpected places.
That visibility, combined with some really smart endorsements, seems to create the perfect storm for global virality.
Absolutely. The moment high-profile stars start treating a toy like a premium fashion accessory, it just transcends its category.
Who are we talking about?
We've seen powerful endorsements from figures like Blackpink's Lisa, Rihanna, Kim Kardashian.
Big names.
Huge names. When Lisa showcases a Labubu keychain on Instagram, or Kim Kardashian includes one in a high-fashion photo, it instantly transforms the toy into this highly desirable status symbol. It sparks a global collecting craze.
And then social media just pours gasoline on that fire.
Right. The connection between celebrity endorsement and mass social adoption is direct. TikTok, for instance, currently hosts over 1.7 million posts featuring Labubu.
1.7 million posts. That's a lot of user content.
It's enormous. This level of organic, user-generated content ensures the toy's cultural currency remains incredibly high. It's not just marketing anymore, it's embedding the toy into youth culture globally, making consumption itself a social activity.
Okay, so if Section 1 was about the scale of the product, the what? Section 2 has to be about the genius or maybe the manipulation of the machine that sells it.
Right, the how.
Pop Mart's success is just a textbook example of strategically exploiting consumer psychology. And everything, really everything, seems to hinge on that blind box mechanism.
The blind box is absolutely the core engine. It's built entirely on deliberate uncertainty. The buyer receives a sealed package. They don't know the exact figurine inside until they open it.
Why is that so effective?
Well, this model successfully blends two highly appealing concepts. You get the exclusivity and intellectual property value of designer fine art, but also the mass market accessibility and that emotional pull of an immediate reward.
So you're essentially buying a lottery ticket.
Yeah.
But one that guarantees a pretty prize, even if it's not the one you wanted. The real reward is uncertain.
Exactly. And this is where the behavioral science kicks in hard.
Okay, break that down.
Yes. It's a direct trigger for gambling psychology, specifically through what psychologists call variable ratio reinforcement.
Variable ratio reinforcement, was that?
Most people are familiar with fixed ratios, do 5 tasks, get a reward. But here, the reward is intermittent and unpredictable. You might buy one box and get a common figure, or you might buy the next and hit the rare secret variant.
And why is that unpredictable schedule so much more? Well, addictive than a guaranteed reward.
Because the uncertainty itself stimulates dopamine release more intensely. Think of slot machines. You don't know when the payout will happen, so you keep pulling the lever.
Or checking your phone for notifications?
Exactly. You don't know when the next exciting text or notification will arrive, so you check it constantly. That intermittent and unpredictable reward schedule makes the purchasing experience deeply engaging, driving high-frequency repeat behavior.
And they amplify that with the rarity.
Oh, absolutely. This is especially potent when they introduce hidden variants that are incredibly rare, sometimes as scarce as a 1 in 144 chance. That scarcity makes the perceived reward monumental if you hit it.
That perceived risk and reward then hooks directly into some powerful cognitive biases, right? Particularly loss aversion and FOMO, the fear of missing out.
Absolutely. We rely heavily on the work of Daniel Kahneman and Amos Tversky here, their prospect theory. It basically proves that the psychological pain of loss is approximately twice as powerful as the joy of an equivalent gain.
Twice as powerful.
Okay.
So, applied to blind boxes, consumers aren't just motivated by the potential joy of getting a rare figure.
They are more powerfully motivated, often subconsciously, to avoid the loss. The opportunity cost of missing the rare item or just the sting of disappointment from getting a common one again.
The fear of missing out becomes the driver.
Precisely. The system is designed to create urgency, limited supply drops, time-limited sales, and the immediate knowledge, often through social media, that others are successfully obtaining the rare item make the fear of missing out just overwhelming for some people.
And you have data on that.
Yeah, data supports this strongly. 65% to 70% of Chinese consumers who buy blind boxes reported being influenced by FOMO. The mental anguish of missing out on a rare piece is, for many, greater than the financial cost of repeatedly purchasing boxes.
That brings us back to that story you mentioned earlier, the young office worker in Shanghai. She wasn't even looking for a toy.
Right. She was just strolling through a mall when she witnessed that social eruption. A girl pulling a secret chase figure from a robo-shop, surrounded by celebrating onlookers.
So she saw the excitement, the win.
That moment encapsulates the transition from rational consumer to emotional consumer. This worker, who didn't know Labubu an hour ago, suddenly experiences intense social pressure. She sees not just the possibility of gain, but the imminent loss of that social excitement and validation if she doesn't participate.
And what happened?
She buys a box, gets common figure, feels that sting of disappointment, the loss, and immediately attempts to mitigate that feeling by buying two more. The system has instantly compelled her into this state of perceived deficit.
And that cycle of repeated purchasing, often fueled by disappointment, leads us directly into the sunk cost trap.
Ah, yes, the sunk cost fallacy. This is where financial irrationality really takes over.
Explain that one.
The fallacy dictates that once substantial money, or even time or effort, has been spent on something, consumers feel psychologically compelled to continue investing, buying yet more boxes, to avoid feeling that the previous costs were completely wasted.
Even though logically, that money's already gone.
Exactly. They are making current, often illogical decisions based on expenditures that are already unrecoverable. The logic becomes, I've already spent $100 trying to get the secret, I must spend another $50, otherwise that first $100 was pointless.
Trying to make the past spending feel worthwhile.
Right. They are trying to retroactively validate past decisions. Our data shows that nearly 40% of Chinese consumers reported making additional purchases specifically due to a desire to complete the collection or avoid feeling regret for missing out. They chase the illusion of eventual payoff to negate the feeling of previous waste.
And this chasing of completion is reinforced by another potent psychological driver, the completion instinct, or something called the Zeigarnik effect.
Yes, the Zeigarnik effect. It basically states that we inherently remember and focus on incomplete tasks much more strongly than completed ones. If you stop halfway through a complex task, your mind keeps bringing it back up, nagging you.
Which translates, for collectors, into this deep, almost physical need to finish the set they started collecting.
Precisely. It's a powerful psychological drive to close the loop. For collectors, finishing a series becomes almost an emotional mandate, not just a casual choice.
Is there data on that specific drive?
Yeah, approximately 45% of Chinese consumers make additional purchases specifically to complete a series they have already invested in. And the pressure increases dramatically the closer they get to completion. If they're over 80% complete, the likelihood they will just stop buying becomes minimal.
They're hooked by their own brain's desire for closure.
Pretty much. They are held hostage by that need.
But let's step back for a moment. All this psychological pressure, the FOMO, the sunk costs, it must lead to significant post-purchase regret sometimes, right? Especially when you spent a lot of money and the blind box failed you. Again.
Definitely. Buyer's remorse is a real risk.
So how does Mart mitigate that? How do they stop consumers from just getting burnt out and walking away?
They leverage another cognitive bias. The endowment effect.
Endowment effect.
This effect causes us to inherently value an owned object higher than its objective market value. Once you own something, even if it's a common figure you didn't particularly want, you subconsciously assign it higher subjective worth simply because it's yours.
Ah, okay. So you rationalize the purchase after the fact. By valuing the common figure, you got more highly than maybe it deserved.
Exactly. It helps reduce the cognitive dissonance, that painful gap between your high expectation, getting the rare one, and the mediocre reality, another common. It's almost like self-deception as a defense mechanism.
And how else do people rationalize it?
Consumers often rationalize the entire expensive endeavor by focusing on the excitement and the entertainment of the unboxing ritual itself. They reframe the cost.
So the experience becomes the product.
In a way, yes. They reduce the regret, even if the result was unsatisfying. We found over 50% of consumers reported deriving satisfaction from the act of unboxing, regardless of the actual figurine inside. The process of the gamble becomes the true product, making the financial loss feel more like a fair price paid for that temporary thrill.
Okay, so the psychological engine is clearly driving massive volume through those primary sales, the $15 boxes. But Pop Mart has skillfully extended this monetization way past that initial transaction, haven't they?
Oh, absolutely. They are masters at engineering scarcity, not just within the boxes, but to validate the entire investment illusion and fuel the secondary market.
What's the goal there? Just hype.
The goal is strategic, to shift the consumer perception of the product from a simple toy to something more like a quasi-financial asset. They use these headline-grabbing auction sales of rare pieces to reinforce the perceived status of the brand.
And to confirm that the consumer's own investment could theoretically be lucrative.
Exactly. It validates the whole collecting endeavor. It's brilliant marketing, really.
And we're not talking about small numbers here, are we? These secondary market sales can be astronomical.
Absolutely staggering figures. For example, a single human-sized Labubu figure recently sold at auction for, get this, $150,000 US.
$150,000 for one figure.
That's RMB 1.08 million. In another instance, a rare brown Labubu variant, apparently limited to just 15 pieces globally, sold for 115,000 US dollars. That's RMB 820,000.
Wow. Those kinds of auction prices must serve a dual function then. Generate PR, obviously, but also.
But more importantly, they legitimize the activity for the average consumer down the chain.
How so?
When consumers see collectible designer toys fetching six-figure sums, they start viewing their own blind box purchases not just as fun, but as potentially lucrative and highly prestigious, even if they never sell anything.
It creates an investment mindset.
Precisely. This speculative secondary market is crucial because it feeds the self-reinforcing economic cycle. Massive auction prices drive consumer interest in the potential for profit, which increases primary demand for the blind boxes, and any resale premiums people achieve further validate their initial spending.
But Pop Mart isn't just relying on the blind box figures anymore, right? They seem to be strategically diversifying.
Yeah, they have to. They recognize that relying solely on plastic figurines is risky, particularly with potential market fatigue setting in, so they are moving aggressively into diversified lifestyle offerings.
Like what?
Well, for instance, their plush toy sales surged an astonishing 1,289% in 2024.
Over 1,200% for plushies.
Yep. Furthermore, their oversized premium figures, the Mega Series, which caters to the higher-end collector, racked up about $234 million, representing a 146% increase year on year.
So bigger figures, softer figures, and now jewelry. That seems like a big leap.
It is. The launch of the POPOP jewelry brand in early 2025 is a very calculated move toward affordable luxury.
Affordable luxury.
Okay. They are leveraging their established IPs Labubu and others in sterling silver pieces, priced between, say, $50 to $385. By doing this, Pop Mart is directly positioning itself against established accessory brands like Pandora and Swarovski.
Moving beyond toys altogether.
Exactly. Moving from impulse toy purchasing to more sustainable, high-margin lifestyle consumption. It capitalizes on the deep emotional connection customers already have with the characters. I love Labubu. Now I can wear Labubu.
And crucial to sustaining this massive market is their digital and retail innovation, right? That continuous engagement loop.
That membership ecosystem is really the backbone of their sustainable revenue. They boast a staggering digital membership base of over 46 million registered users.
46 million?
Yeah. And these members collectively account for approximately 90% of total sales.
90%? Wow. That's incredible loyalty.
It ensures predictable, continuous revenue streams that very few traditional toy companies can even dream of matching.
And their retail strategy reinforces this ecosystem by blending the spectacular with the everyday.
Right. They anchor their brand with these high-visibility flagship stores, essentially experiential retail destinations in places like the Louvre in Paris and Times Square in New York. These spaces solidify the brand's sort of luxury, or at least premium status.
Big statement stores.
Exactly. And then this visibility is complemented by the high-frequency convenience of those 2,500-plus automated robo-shops we talked about. Ubiquitous access.
And this is all seamlessly integrated with aggressive social media marketing, presumably.
Constantly. Their use of platforms like Douyin, which is TikTok in China, is essential. They utilize creative videos, live streams, anything that encourages intense, real-time consumer interaction.
Let me the buzz going.
And triggering purchases. These digital channels facilitate impulse buying through live social proof, seeing others buy and unbox and interactive features like box drawing directly on WeChat mini programs. It makes the act of purchase itself feel like an engaging, shared social event.
Okay, so we've established this is a brilliant, arguably $40 billion business built on exploiting some pretty deep psychological levers. But now we have to talk about where this financial game intersects with real life, the friction it causes.
Right. In families, in household budgets.
Because the moment this collectible toy starts being viewed as a quasi-financial asset, like you said, the stakes suddenly become incredibly high for ordinary people.
That elevation from a simple leisure item to a speculative asset is exactly where the tension explodes. Consider that anecdote you shared, the young married couple in Beijing.
Right, saving for an apartment.
Diligently saving every penny toward that astronomical down payment. And the wife makes this shocking discovery. Her husband had secretly spent over $1,000 USD in a single month.
$1,000.
Purely on the secondary market for Labubu figures.
Diverted from their core family goal, the down payment, to buy collectible toys. That's significant.
Exactly. And the crucial point is the husband's justification. He wasn't seeing it as frivolous spending. In his mind, he was investing. He was convinced he could flip these rare figures for a profit, citing those huge six-figure auction sales as his proof of concept. To him, he was being savvy. To his wife, understandably, he was gambling their financial security on a speculative bubble.
That story really illustrates how the perceived value of these objects can become completely detached from their actual use or inherent worth.
Absolutely. And it causes intense financial friction within the family unit, raises serious questions about responsible budgeting, addiction potential.
And beyond the direct financial damage, there's a significant parenting challenge. Managing the social status, the anxiety this trend creates for kids who are just bombarded with the marketing.
That anxiety is a major concern and something parents grapple with. I came across a compelling account of a father in Hong Kong. His 8-year-old son was becoming increasingly consumed by the obsession.
How so?
The need to own the rarest figures became a source of significant anxiety and competitive status concern among his school peers. You know, who has the secret? Who has the limited edition?
Peer pressure, basically, amplified by collectibles.
Exactly. And the father realized that just outright banning the toys wouldn't work. That would only create the forbidden fruit syndrome, probably intensifying the desire.
So what did he do? How did he address the core issue? The focus on rarity and consumerism.
He deployed a really brilliant reframing strategy. Instead of focusing on the purchase, the transaction, he took his son to see an exhibition by the original artist, Qixing Lung.
Go to the source.
Right. They spent the afternoon studying the original sketches, looking at the art behind the character, talking about the creative process. The father successfully shifted his son's focus away from the rarity and the consumerism, which one is the rarest, which one do I need to have, towards appreciating the creativity, the design, the artistic narrative itself.
So he intellectualized it, in a way.
He did. He taught his son to value the art over the asset, essentially, a much healthier engagement.
That is proactive navigation of pop culture, focusing on literacy rather than just prohibition. Smart. But we still have to address the vulnerability of children, especially younger ones, to the aggressive digital influencer marketing that drives this whole engine.
This is a major ethical flashpoint, and it's why regulators are increasingly scrutinizing this space. Children's time on digital devices is only rising, and with it, their exposure to highly persuasive, consumption-driven content.
And they don't always get the difference between an ad and a real recommendation.
That's the core problem, the advertising literacy gap. Children, particularly under 12, often lack the cognitive ability to clearly distinguish between paid, sponsored content and organic personal recommendations.
And influencer marketing is specifically designed to exploit that blurred line, isn't it? To make it feel like a friend's advice.
Precisely. It appears as a personal endorsement from a trusted or at least relatable source rather than an obvious advertisement. It's profoundly influential and persuasive for young audiences.
Which can lead to what?
Potentially significant consumption anxiety, pressure to keep up with their digital peers, demands on parents. Regulators are definitely attempting to catch up, but it's a fast-moving target.
Are there signs the market itself is getting tired?
We're starting to see clear signs of market saturation, or at least fatigue.
Consumer fatigue setting in. Maybe due to the constant new releases? The prices?
I think so. Approximately 43% of users are reporting intentions to reduce their blind box purchases. They cite price sensitivity, design fatigue, seeing too many similar things, or just general product saturation.
Okay, so internal pressure from consumers.
Yeah.
What about external pressure from regulators?
That internal pressure is definitely being compounded by increasing regulatory headwinds, especially in Pop Mart's home market, China.
What are they doing?
Well, the government is attempting that tricky balance, right? They want to promote Chinese cultural IP creation, which Pop Mart represents, but they also need to ensure strong consumer protection. They already prohibit the sale of blind boxes to children under 8 years old.
Under 8, okay.
And we saw how sensitive the market is to these external critiques. There was a major commentary piece in the People's Daily recently.
The official newspaper, essentially.
Right. Calling for much tighter regulation, citing legal experts who flagged the addictive potential, particularly among minors.
And the market reacted.
Immediately. Pop Mart's stock shares fell by as much as 6.6% right after that article came out. So this regulatory scrutiny is now a major operational factor. It forces the company to demonstrate extreme compliance and corporate responsibility in its marketing practices or face real consequences.
It's about their massive growth. They must also face significant internal operational challenges, the kind of issues that plague any hypergrowth company.
Oh, for sure. Inventory pressure is chief among them. We saw reports that in 2023, their inventory backlog rate was as high as 20%.
20% backlog, that sounds high.
It signals a clear need for supply chain optimization. They're likely struggling to accurately predict demand for the dozens and dozens of new series they constantly churn out.
Trying to guess the next hit.
Exactly. Plus, they face brand reputation risks. Things like plagiarism disputes, remember the highly publicized AYLA series incident, that can really impact consumer trust. The balancing act between rapid growth, managing public perception, and satisfying regulators is getting extremely difficult for them. #outro.
Well, this has been a really fascinating deep dive. The whole Labubu phenomenon, powered by Pop Mart, it's just an incredible paradox, isn't it?
It really is.
It thrives by systematically monetizing our most fundamental human instincts. Curiosity, the joy of community, that powerful psychological need to complete a collection.
And maybe most importantly, that profound human pain of not being part of something, of missing out.
Yeah, it's just this highly efficient engine of economic value creation, but also cultural connection, strangely enough.
If we try to synthesize this whole phenomenon, stepping back, the real breakthrough of this blind box economy, I think, is not merely the toy itself or even the art behind it.
What is it then?
It's the successful strategy of capturing continuous consumer behavior. Pop Mart fundamentally redefined desire by systematically turning the anticipation of a loss, missing the rare figure, failing to complete the set, losing social status into the primary high-margin driver of consumer purchases.
Turning fear of loss into profit.
Essentially, yes. And in doing so, they fundamentally reshaped how personal value and desire are defined and pursued in this digital high-velocity age.